similar boat on those champions, like you said, the Poppy, the Echo, as well as the Shen.
Well, to start things off already, Team WB recognize that Endless is pretty good at that Kog'Maw Frosco, and they take away that champion immediately. They also ban out the Lissandra that Easyhoon had a fantastic spring split performance on, and occasionally pulls it out during the summer split to devastate players.
I'm 2 for 2. Is it going to be the Shen?
We'll have to check in this in a bit. For now, though, Vici, they take away the Gangplank to start things off. A champion that neither 957 or Sia have played so far in this split.
Well, that's because it's always banned against them. I have no doubt that 957 is a phenomenal Gangplank player. Again, it fits definitely in his wheelhouse, that control of area with the Cannon Barrage as well as the Kegs.
Jin is going to be the second ban that comes out from Vici. Team WB waiting for that final ban.
Give me the Shin. It's going to be Shin or Hecarim, I think.
Instead, it's going to be a Vladimir being banned out here. They don't want Easyhoon to get his hands on that champion.
See, and this catches me off guard because Xie is such a phenomenal Vladimir player himself. He was the first LPL mid laner to debut it, although it has been permabanned away from Easyhoon. That said, most recently, when Team WB did get their hands on the Vladimir, they lost to Malzahar.
They certainly did. Malzahar has been love tapped though, and he's now not as strong as he used to be or as oppressive as he used to be. And there's that Shen being instantly locked in for 957 as their first pick.
Yeah, so they don't ban it, but they will have to priority pick it away. That said, 957 still very comfortable on Shen. He's going to have the exact same identity that has already filled his responsibility on this team. So now what if Vici second rotate? Typically, you want to secure your jungle matchup here, as well as your support pickup, or you can just hide everything and pick up a top laner.
Let's see what they lock in first here for Vici. We did see the Kog'Maw being banned out, and like we mentioned earlier, Ashe is a champion that both Endless as well as Shen P share in the champion pool.
And it's something that Mystic has been less likely to pick up. Again, it's usually either the Ezreal or the Sivir. He has played it before, but it's not a staple of Team WE.
Still waiting to see what they lock in first, but Karma will be locked in here for most likely Easyhoon, but we have seen Caveman play it a couple of times. Ashe is the AD carry of choice to go over towards Endless since the Kog'Maw was taken away.
You have to think that means that either Alistar or Braum are going to be taken away, and I think it's actually, like you said, going to be Easyhoon picking up that Karma. He's very comfortable on the champion, simply because Caveman is such an incredible Braum player. Karma really isn't in his comfort zone.
Now, the Team WE, they get two powerful picks of choice, and knowing that Vici have only shown their bottom lane, so they could be trying to use that Karma as a flex pick, try and save a last pick for either Easyhoon or Endless. I mean, yep, or Caveman. You
know, Jake echoed this the first day of playoffs in Game Talents versus Vici, and I actually think he's correct, and so I'm going to reiterate what he said, which is Easyhoon has a shallow champion pool. And I think that's absolutely correct. Not that Easyhoon can't play multiple champions, but his effective ones are Lissandra, Ryze, and Azir. And on the 6.15 patch, we haven't seen the Ryze come out, so we don't know how teams are taking to the changes. Azir has kind of hit the back burner, and Lissandra is almost 100% taken away from Easyhoon.
And I pretty much sums up the most played champions he has. The only ones that kind of creep up there would be Victor and the Lulu, but Lulu was played at the start of Spring Split, really, and now Summer Split we don't see much Victor from him either. And
you know, Easyhoon, he's going to hit his buttons, he's going to drop that Chaos Storm, hit the lasers, he'll be a great solid Victor and Karma player, but it is not to the same impact as his Azir or his Ryze.
Whereas Sia, he has a ton of picks off his sleeve. LeBlanc is the most famous one, which has been banned out here today. He's played a ton of other champions as well, and he's hovering over the Talia, which would be exciting to see him pick up in the mid lane. For now, though, we can run through the picks that we kind of missed out. Gragas was locked in the jungle for Team WE. They also took away the Alistar. We get Hecarim and Poppy being picked up by Vici.
We've seen a lot of Poppy return to the LPL. Started with Acorn, as like you said, this is going fast and furious. The Ezreal and the Talia will be locked in.
So we do get Mystic's Ezreal being picked up here. He's very famous for the champion and plays it incredibly well. In fact, he has his name is, you know, Mystic, after Mystic shot. But Talia being picked up by Sia, a champion he has yet to play this split.
And the thing is Twisted Fate is available, and Talia actually fills a very similar role that Twisted Fate will with that global presence of pressure. On 6.15, she's actually been tapped in her ultimate cooldown. It's been extended a bit. Before it was a bit overtuned. But I'm just curious, you know, he must really value the pushing pressure in his lane, knowing that it's a Karma going into that mid lane, which is why you would prioritize Talia over Twisted Fate.
And Vici round out their team comp by picking up Tahm Kench as their supportive choice. So unbench the Kench, and you'll be heading into the bottom lane to support Endless's Ashe.
Makes sense. Offers a lot of mobility and protection to an AD carry that otherwise doesn't have it built into our kit. But so far, it's pretty much a tried and true composition coming out of Vici. Dandy, really famous on the Hecarim from his playing it in top lane days. Of course, now he's returned to the jungle. Still looks excellent on that champion.
We'll have to see how he uses this one heading into Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between Team WE and Vici. On to Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between Team WE and Vici. And you know, as we went through Champion Select there for Oscar, and as we went through the small pause we had before going to Summoner's Rift, there's something that really stands out here that these two teams are relatively famous for, which is low damage, lots of tanks, and very good late game scaling coming into this first game.
Yep, everyone grab some popcorn, buckle in, get cozy on the couch, because this is Vici versus Team WE. Both these teams are very patient. We call Vici the team of 1,000 cuts. They beat you with small increments around the map. Team WE, we call them the Elder Drake team. They pretty much turn it on at 35 minutes. Again, they kind of have a lackluster 1v1 lane ability, and they compensate for that in their team synergy and cohesion. But otherwise, these compositions are almost exactly the same across the board. A lot of level 6 power. And so for the first few levels, it should just be a very controlled, passive farm game.
Unless Condi wants to make something happen with his Gragas in the jungle, a little bit more aggressive in the early game, especially with his first flash body slam.
He certainly has the ability to invade Dandy through the pressure point that Xie can create. Again, he had the opportunity. He could have looked towards his Twisted Fate. Xie was known almost exclusively as a Twisted Fate one-trick, something that Team WE are very familiar with. He used to have a player called Messiah on their team, but has definitely kind of branched out and really created his own identity throughout his career. You know, go back to Team WE defeating the GE Tigers at IEM and how far they've come rebuilding this dynasty effectively. And there's that famous wave clear that Twisted Fate just won't bring, but this champion will. Yep,
Sia picking up the Talia here, immediately goes towards the Raptor camp, trying to take down the small Raptors, but runs into Dandy. We'll take a little bit of damage coming out from Easy Hoon. Thunderlords does proc, but he is still fairly safe.
But this is still incredibly important. Even though Xie really didn't gain anything off of that, he still figured out where Dandy is.
He got level 2 as well from taking away a few of those small Raptor minions, and Talia is obnoxious in terms of wave clear, especially when she hits the range minions with her rock throws.
She also does a surprisingly amount of damage. I mean, obviously late game, because she doesn't have a damage ultimate, she will fall off a bit.
But then you look at Easy here, and his ultimate, also fairly non-existent, does provide a little bit of extra damage.
Mobility and utility, as this is really going to be the big pain point between these two teams, where there's just obviously a big discrepancy. It's between Mystic and Zero and Endless and Caveman. Mystic and Zero have the opportunity where they can really punish this, but this does mean that they're telegraphing and opening themselves up for a counter gank from Dandy.
Certainly does. Easy Hoon for now in this mid lane. He's still farming up underneath the turret, trying to take as much CS as he possibly can. Talia still farming up the Raptor counts every single chance she gets to move away from the lane, which has been fairly frequent.
You know, the LPL used to be fairly famous for its mid lane talent. I mean, obviously not in comparison to someone like Korea, where they have the best player in the world in Faker, but you had a lot of mid lane talent in the likes of Whites, Messiah, when Zatai, you know, was still in that mid lane. He was kind of thought to assume the throne. And now kind of this new wave of Chinese mid talent has come to power. And Xie is really the start of that. You have people like Xie, Xiaohu, the return of Wayless. So the Chinese mid lane kind of making a resurgence since cool Whites and Messiah have all retired and stepped back.
Especially when we saw Xiaohu take to the international stage at MSI. Really stepped up there for RNG, had a great performance. And the rest of the Chinese mid lanes have really been looking good so far. Endless still getting comboed out by the Alistar in this bottom lane. Every single time Caveman has his W up, he will eat him and save him from that damage, but that time around, Endless will take a little bit of poke, and it's just been back and forth in this bottom lane for now. And
again, Caveman's a phenomenal Braum player, taking the Kinch, but using it in a very similar way, which is to neutralize a lot of pain. But speaking of pain...
Yep, it's Kondi and Zero trying to rotate into the mid lane. EasyHoon has to be careful. Does have Flash available. Ooh, there goes Flash. Zero for the Flash Headbutt Body Slam combo. Flash Headbutt Body Slam. Flash Headbutt Pulverize combo. Does not connect, but EasyHoon does burn a crucial summoner spell in this mid lane.
And now it's about, will Kondi execute on that? Because it was trading the support Flash, Kondi still has the availability to look for that Flash belly bop.
Certainly does, and Thalia can manipulate these waves rather effectively. Can choose to shove into a turret, reset, and make it freeze on her side of the map, or just keep on shoving in towards this Karma.
Something that Xie will execute quite frequently. In fact, all of Team WE. So the cool thing about WE is that they're incredibly patient and they're incredibly good at bouncing waves and using freezes. Typically, when you freeze against a team, it opens up pressure points, typically in the mid lane, where, okay, I can't be in this overextended freeze that you've created. I'm just going to go mid, kill your mid lane, or take your tower. But Team WE are so good at being right place, right time, and neutralizing pressure, elongating games, and finding the resources that they need.
You can already see an example of that in the mid lane. Sierra, he's not necessarily hard freezing this lane, but he's making sure when EasyHoon comes into last hit, he has to use his Q, which means naturally minions going to be left on Sierra's side of the map. So that's going to be a hard reset of those two waves, and means that Gragas is always going to have constant pressure, and EasyHoon has to keep on being vigilant.
Exactly, which is why you see Dandy responding by invading the jungle and getting these deep wards. Dandy, of course, world champion, very cerebral-oriented jungler, really likes to acquire information, but what makes Dandy unique is how he punishes this information.
EasyHoon turning on the pressure in this mid lane, does have Hecarim rotating up here, but just gets a chunk of damage down on towards Sia.
But the damage has been done, and it's not necessarily the mid lane trades, it's the fact that you have a deep pink ward behind the red buff of Kondi, as well as a ward on both camps, the Raptor as well as the Krug camp. So again, Dandy, cerebral jungler, he's thrown out his net. Now what is he going to do when he catches something?
Kondi's also a jungler that likes to go for the green smite to be able to ward as much as possible, provide that extra vision for Team WE. And we see a lot of junglers in the LPL work together with their supports, whether it be someone like EDG, where we see them, you know, try to kill as many people as possible, or SFM and Jay-Z do the exact same thing, whereas Team WE, they're more of a, you know what, let's hold hands, go get some wards down, back off, and we just help the rest of the team later.
It's such a night and day difference. I feel like a lot of people have this perception that the LPL is chaos and bloodshed all of the time.
Send them this best of 5 series.
Exactly, and it feels like it's very weighted on the different sides of the bracket. The fact that we have Team WE, EDG, and Vici all on one side, RNG, Invictus Gaming, and Snake on the other.
Sio was actually looking to see if he can rotate up towards the top side of the map, disappeared into Fog of War, retreat pings were sent down onto his way to the top lane, so to speak. Top lane, 957 and Poppy, they're just duking it out. Constant taunts coming out from Shen, trying to keep Long occupied. He's about 20 CS behind at the moment, but there is a large mini wave that will eventually crash onto his Poppy turret, and if Long CSs correctly, we'll be able to pick up majority of what he is missing against the Shen, but still a decent lead to start off for 957.
But ultimately, we're just buying time, farming resources, and getting closer and closer to those level breakpoints, the level 6. Yes, 957 doesn't have his global available, but he will have Stand United.
And that really shows how he's been trying to get ahead in this lane as well, using teleport, get back to base, rely on Stand United when that first comes back up, whereas Lung really has to hold his teleport in case there is a cross-map play. Bottom lane though, Endless and Mystic going toe-to-toe here, trying to trade damage back and forth. That's just been the story of this bottom lane, but they just resort back to going to farm.
Yeah, but neither bot laner will pull the trigger on this and look for the all-in engagement. And again, it's because both top laners have the ability to impact that bottom lane, as well as no eyes on either Kondi or Dandy, although Kondi will show himself on the Krug ward now.
Yep, that Krug ward will slowly disappear as he tries to take it down, so he knows he has been spotted out.
Here comes Talia.
He's going to try and see if he can cut him off in the bottom lane.
Okay, this is cool. So Xie is only walking down there, not because he necessarily wants to pull the trigger on it. Again, Mystic doesn't have a ton of mana available to him. He really only has his tier, so not a lot of battle stats. But it's because he knows that EasyHoon and Dandy are on the blue buff. And so he's expecting that there's a possibility that they rotate bottom and look for some sort of dive or some sort of play. So just stepping into Fog of War, being aware, but just, you know, it's fine. If they don't pull the trigger, we're not going to force anything. And that's pretty much the epitome of both these teams. Patient, collected, methodical.
That's exactly what we're going to be seeing for the next few minutes as well. We have hit level 6 on all the champions in the game, so there will be a little bit more aggression between these two teams, but they still would like to sit back and farm up for a bit more.
There's the potential for more aggression, and it looks like it might start with Dandy in that top side.
You can already see top side of the map. Poppy is slowly falling behind in terms of farm. In fact, he's just been forced to use his teleport to get back to the top lane. It's 60 CS to about 80 at the moment.
That's a big discrepancy. That should give the go-ahead that if Mystic and Zero want to turn it on, they have the advantage of being able to get Shin there. But more importantly, Endless and Caveman have to be so much more respectful now.
Big problem for Mystic, though. He is Ezreal, so he's sitting on that tier at the moment. So combat stats not in his favor at the moment. Have to see if they do work around that one. That's a lot of work around in the mid lane. Sia, he's been keeping himself busy.
It's really about Xie because, like you said, Ezreal is really only sitting on the tier. It's now about Xie. We have the TP advantage or the global pressure. Push up as fast as you can and see if we can start threatening with a rotation, which is why it's key that Condi just smote the Raptors and is starting to clear out kind of that flanking vision to catch the Taliyah on her path down.
Speaking of Condi, he's got his Runic Echoes picked up on the Gragas, so a small power spike, whereas we will see Danny go for the Triforce. So that'll take some time for Hecarim to pick up that item. Mid lane, Lost Chapter's been coming in for CS, who he'll be nice and topped up in terms of mana. Every time he levels up, he'll get a lot of mana back as well. Whereas Athene's Unholy Grail is looking to be the first item that comes out from EasyHoon. We see this from him every single time he plays Karma. And Long still training with 957 in the top lane. Still 20 CS behind. Sia once again looking for a pick in the bottom lane.
It is really important. 957, if they want to make this play, actually needs to back up away from Long, but Zero's in.
Flashes in, gets the headbutt. Pulverize, not just the Pulverize first. Looking to try and headbutt Caveman back, but it's flash for flash in the bottom lane.
Actually very rare for Team WE to not be completely on point with that. Yes, Condi was in the area.
And it does seem like Team WE just going to use that trade, so to speak, of summoner spells to push in the bottom lane minions on towards the turret, hopefully get it back in for Ezreal, who's been farming up for quite some time, 107 CS at the moment. Just trying to see and make sure he can stop Endless from freezing this close to his turret. Gets a lot of damage down. Mystic actually going toe-to-toe. If that Mystic shot connected, he would have been taken down. Tahm Kench now going to join the fight. Brings Dandy along with him. Exhaust use on towards the Ezreal. Sandy United going to keep Mystic alive for a while longer. Caveman eats up the Hecarim, trying to keep him alive. Zero in trouble now. Teleport does get cancelled. And Vici, off the back of that play, pick up first blood on Dandy.
Huge miscalculation from Team WE. And the reason why the Stan United was so delayed coming in is because 957, you know, it was a reactionary play. It wasn't something that was proactive and methodical, which is very unlike Team WE. He had to get very far away from Long.
You can see Long even cancels it, uses his ultimate, charges it up, knocks Shen out of the Standing Knight, so we can't get into the bottom lane and get the taunt to save Alistar. But Mystic was so close, using the stun duration to send out his True Shot Barrage. That final Mystic shot just being an inch off to take down the Ashe.
I like to call it bicycling animations.
But Endless, good reaction, uses the Enchanted Crystal as soon as Arcane Shift was used by the Ezreal. Here comes Caveman and looking for a flank on towards Sia. EasyHoon's flashed in, trying to lock him down. Sia still has his flash, so wasted the Summer Smell coming out from the Karma.
But momentum and attempt from Vici. So take note, Dandy did get the first blood. So in a pretty good standing from that Hecarim. Again, he has a very hungry build, especially coming out of the jungle where he doesn't have a ton of resources or gold to effectively itemize into that. Always nice when you can get your jungler on a snowball, even better when it's a Hecarim.
So he'll be able to bridge that gap very well. Condi has a good power spike now with the Runic Echoes, and we'll probably just go for a straight tank build after this. We can take a look at Mystic's build. He's picked up the Sheen, looking to try and complete his mana immune first up to get that little bit of extra damage to kind of bridge the gap before he picks up his Iceborne Gauntlet. Big
danger zone is the fact that Team WE's bot lane have neither of their summoners available. Big key one's going to be that flash, especially because Endless has his arrow backup. So this is a bit of a sore spot for them on the map right now, which means that Dandy could use this Tahm Kench, get into the lane.
Definitely could, but it seems like both teams being fairly respectful for now. Ashe has gone back to base, picked up a BF sword for herself, and now looking for a Zeal item, which should be a Hurricane.
Dandy threatening mid.
He's going to look to try and jump onto CS. Still has his flash available, but does get locked down. A big seismic shove comes up, but Dandy's still going on forward. Condi tries to flash in to save his mid laner, but suddenly there's a Tahm Kench collapsing as well. He gets taken down, and Vici get 3 very early kills against Team WE.
And Vici came into the playoffs at the 4th place seed, and right now they're pretty much running the 2nd place seed in Group B around the map.
I mean, you take a look at Vici's previous games. I mean, 3-0 against Game Talents, technically a 3-1. Before that, their last game in the group stages of the LPL was against Team WE, and they picked up a 2-0 very decisive victory.
And yes, you can look at this team and say, well, of course, they have Dandy, they have EasyHoon, but when Vici really shine, you expect greatness out of these two, but it's when Caveman, Endless, and in particular Long step up, that's Vici's ticket into a deep playoff run.
And although it might not look like they're stepping up so far, Long 20 CS up in the top lane, Mystic was 20 CS up in the bottom lane before the engage that he had against Endless. So they have been playing well so far. We'll have to see if they really step it up as this game progresses. But like we said, these two teams are late game focused teams. So really around 35 minutes is where we start to see who is on form and who is not.
Yep, certainly being able to deny 957's TP pressure in the bottom lane, although Team WE, they're trying to find the counterplay. They pulled Talia into River, but Endless and Caveman have the great heads up and fantastic communication across from Vici. Easily back up and diffuse all of that pressure.
This Long still trying to hold on this offside of the map, like you said, has diffused the pressure coming out from 957 so far. Sacrificed a lot of CS for it. But he's fairly comfortable on that. He's on the lollipoppy. Later on in the game, he'll throw down the candy and make everyone cry.
It'll be delicious. That's what their tears taste like.
Not for Team WE. But yep, as we expected. They're just going to be farming back and forth here. And nothing too much will happen between these two teams, especially with all these big global spells up and available to Elia's Weaver's Wall. You've got the Stand United and the teleports coming out from both teams.
And it doesn't help that the initial Dragon spawn was that Mountain Drake, obviously really only beneficial around the 15 to 20 minute mark when you want to start unlocking and pushing down this outer ring of turrets. Also a very hard dragon to burn down quickly in these lower levels.
One of the tankiest dragons in the game.
The tankiest dragon, other than the Elder.
Morello Nomicon has been picked up by Sia as well, so a small item power spike for Talia. This is a big push coming out from Vici, so that Weaver's Wall will come out. Arrow will connect onto Mystic just to delay some time. This is the first structure that will fall down, and Vici will pick it up, but Zero gets a big pulverized combo off. Dandy just waits in the wings, but they get what they came for, and Vici take down the second structure of the game,
But that's what Team WE were lacking, is that clear-cut communication. You think about Team WE's attempted gank on bottom, that Zero and Condi weren't on the same page, but to be sieging that tower where they know that the Weaver's Wall is coming in and Endless proactively throws out the arrow to make sure that Mystic can't follow it up, that's the difference right now of why Vici have taken the lead.
Exactly that, and you know, this looks like a very calm, collected game. Both teams, doesn't look like anyone's really pulling out ahead, but Vici, they're 3,000 gold up just from map play alone. Just from these small picks that they've been getting where they take advantage of misplays from Team WE. And they're looking strong already in this game. Looking at a completely different Vici from what we saw at the start of the even spring split.
Vici are actually one of the most inconsistent teams. They have the record in the LPL of most split series, which a lot of that goes into their long-term development of players like Endless and Xuan P.
Well, the last few series have been quick, decisive, and all in their favor. So hopefully being able to find some form heading into the playoff run here, looking to try and secure at least a 4th place finish and try and get into that fight against EDG in 2 days' time to see if they can make it into the grand finals. But that would be a tough task ahead for either of these two teams because EDG is still undefeated in the LPL.
And EDG are also very clever and quick around the map, but more importantly is that EDG will run multiple damage threats, and that's kind of the one thing that Vici haven't added to the notch in their belt, is that they typically run low damage compositions, because Endless and Xuan P as carries, yes, they can pick up the Kog'Maw and the Twitch, but they're not as consistent as someone like Deft, like Uzi, like Imp.
For now, though, we're going back into the lanes where teams are just farming up. Vici used their advantage and tried to take down a Mountain Dragon. This time, though, 957 is getting jumped on. Long tries to lock him down. EasyHoon is on the top side of this map as well. Dandy's been brought up by the Tom Kench. 957 gonna have to try and flash if he wants to escape from this, but Enchanted Crystal Arrow just nails him, and it's a 5-man assist coming up from Vici just to take down the top laner.
And heads up about where Endless threw that arrow. That was a from the hip shot in mid lane, so excellent aim with that skill shot. And Vici, they were just on the bottom side of the map, taking up that tower, picking up the dragon, and suddenly they've made a play topside. They are just tiny paper cuts all over.
And you can already see how different Vici are. Spring Split, start of Spring Split to the end of Summer Split. The entire progression they've made during 2016 is phenomenal, because if this was start of Spring Split, it'd be Lung trying to carry top lane, Dandy trying to assist him, EasyHoon trying to dominate people in the mid lane. They're like, okay, it's 20 minutes now. We need to kind of save Endless and Caveman, who are falling really far behind. If not, we're going to lose the game. Now it's Endless and Caveman. You know what? We can hold our own. We can go toe-to-toe against our opponents. If you need help, I'll send an arrow top your way to help you out. And they're doing really well, and that's really where Vici have been gelling together so far.
Yep, Vici are one of the few teams that have had a very clear development curve and arc over the course of the split. And they also have that playoff buff. You know, we talked about how Snake have the debuff. Vici, for sure, always make great deep runs into the playoffs.
Since they did. They tried to doing Spring Split. We're not able to do fantastically well, but still got fairly far for where we expected them to finish. This time round, doing the exact same thing. Coming in as one of the last seeds into playoffs. Now fighting for a 4th place spot.
They're definitely going to need it if they win this series, because again, winner here faces EDG, which very heavy favorites. You have to think that you're winning here effectively to get knocked out.
But as always, you take a look at Team WE. They're a team that waits till 35 minutes before they hit the go button. They try to mitigate their losses. They'll say, okay, we're 3,000 gold behind. Let's try and keep it that way.
And that's something that Vici historically have really struggled with. Yes, they have great map movement. You can see them right now, you know, all rotating towards this top side to apply pressure 957. Now finding a catch.
Let's see if they can get a catch on towards Condi.
Straight
into the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Good movements from Dandy to knock him back into that one. There goes the E coming out from Caveman to pick up the kill for himself. Vici are 5-0 of Team WE, and they will take down the top lane Alta turret.
And they're one of the most punishing teams to play from ahead, just because they know exactly where they need to be at exactly the right time, which means any mistake is just exasperated. But at the same time, they really struggle in 5v5. So if Team WE can just mitigate the bleeding, hold on, they do have a hope.
But it seems like Team WE are really struggling with just trading with Vici here, because every single time Vici take an objective, it's very rare that we see Team WE trying to trade for something else. That's the first time where we've seen a trade coming out from Team WE. They took down the bottom lane Outer turret, but they did lose a member of their team doing that. So we'll have to see what they're going to be able to do next to try and get back into this game. For now, though, big power spike for Mystic. Has his Ionian Boots of Felicity as well as the Manamune and the Iceborne Gauntlet. Lots of cooldown reduction for the Ezreal. Lots of mana. Lots of good damage from his Mystic shots. We'll be waiting for the Blade of the Ruin King as his big item power spike next. Ash still waiting to complete the Infinity Edge. Endless does have that Hurricane available, and we'll be farming up in the mid lane this time round to pick up his items.
But there's no pressure right now for Endless to finish or have that Infinity Edge on hand, simply because there's no team fight set up. This is all just about picks and playing the map.
And he's been using those Enchanted Crystal
Here
Arrows
comes
well.
A deep teleport.
And they're looking for the fight. There's Sen United straight onto Mystic to try and keep him alive as long as possible. 957 gets a good turn onto EasyHoon. He's the first casualty for Vici this game. And suddenly Team WE turn on the pressure because they've got 2 members of Vici dead. Double kill comes out for Sia. Big Pulverize gonna come out from Zero as well. Long gets taken down. Endless only finds 1 kill. And that's a huge seismic shove. It's an ace that Team WE get 22 minutes into the game.
And that's exactly it. It may not be 35 minutes, but it is 22. And more importantly, there is all 5 members grouped up. Mystic is a one-man army on this Ezreal, but thankfully his team showed up around him, which means that they are healthy enough to start this Baron.
And disaster strikes for Vici here because Team WE react to the global pressure that Vici provided in this game. A team of 1,000 cuts just tried to take a slice too heavy here, Frostcurrent, and they get punished with the retaliation that comes out from Team WE.
And now immediately we have a massive swing of power. Team WE don't assume the gold lead this time around, but they are certainly in control of the map and get a nice breather. But here we go. This is the first Ash Arrow that doesn't hit for the game, which is unfortunate, but it's the fact that Endless is still running up the river and all 5 members of Team WE are here and ready. And the damage has pretty much been done by the time Endless does show up. Mystic on his individual performance, though, phenomenal to see him play as real.
You have to take a look at Zero as well. First off, stop the initial gank, then got a big double pulverize to keep Mystic alive again. Huge factor to Mystic being able to outplay in that situation, and now Team WE try to pull it back in their favor. Gold almost dead even once again. They do have Baron buff for the next few minutes, so they can kind of take advantage of that, try and take down these outer structures and bring themselves back into the day, bridge themselves to the 35-minute mark they are famous for.
Yep, but here we go, bot lane.
Looking for a fight onto 957. Caveman will come down as well on the Tahm Kench. Good flash coming out from 957 to get over that wall.
Draws
very seamless.
A lot of resources should mean that Team WE get that mid-outer tower. Again, they're that much closer to assuming the gold lead. They have a free 1,000 gold standing on the map between them.
That's the top lane outer turret that's still left. 957 actually being sent to the top lane now to deal with the split push. Team WE, they're in an Elder Dragon team, Frostcurrent, and they look to try and take some Elemental Dragons for themselves. Mountain Dragon was previously taken by Vici, but the second Mountain Dragon will be taken by Team WE, and now it's an Infernal Dragon that will spawn next.
And the big thing is that these Mountain Dragons are actually worth something at this point in the game. This is when we want to start sieging down those outer towers. So good timing from Team WE.
They still have their Baron buff available. In fact, it's only halfway done, so lots of time for Vici to try and heal up the wounds that were created by Vici earlier in the game. They try to push through the bottom lane turret, but this just buys some time for 957, who is split pushing on the top side of the map. Will be able to take down that top lane outer turret, even up the turret disadvantage, and for the first time in this game, Team WE take the lead.
But they're going to continue to try to apply pressure to this. No one is answering 957 on the top side of the map. EasyHoon looks like he's going to be the sacrificial lamb since he has his teleport available.
We'll be able to match 957 if he decides to move into the bottom lane. Also has a spell that can stop a teleport and a Stand United. But for now, Team WE pull the trigger on towards this bottom lane inner turret. That will be taken out relatively quick. Vici are just being run all over the map.
And the reason why is they're just going to sacrifice it. Yes, Dandy was moving a position, but Long was in the mid lane. He doesn't have his teleport available, so Vici just gave that one away for free.
And it's bridged some major power spikes that these teams desperately needed. Iceborne Gauntlet being picked up by the Gragas. A big, tanky 957 in the top lane. Has his Tiamat just to clear waves a little bit quicker as well. Endless even looking for his recurve bow so he can pick up that Blade of the Rune King as soon as he possibly can. Has finally completed. His Mana Immune has upgraded into a Muramana as well. He is truly online, and they're approaching 35 minutes where they start to get incredibly strong.
With the map open as well, the composition does get scary in terms of Talia able to maneuver and pick someone off. It's now kind of a question of who's going to strike first, Endless or Xie.
And Endless has picked up his Infinity Edge, so it's a big spike for the Ashe as well. Will look fairly strong heading into this match. And still waiting for his next item.
Team WE certainly have the vision advantage, full control over Vici's blue side. They could actually turn and try to catch Long. There they go.
Wall will be able to separate Long, but a great use of the E coming out from Poppy gets him over the weave as well. Mystics, though, going so aggressive, looking to take him down. There's Condi, will get knocked away by the Poppy ultimate. Caveman has to flash to keep Long alive, and even himself is incredibly low. Very clutch play from Vici, but Team WE really turning on the heat here.
But unfortunately for Team WE, they lost control over their creep wave, so they're not able to do anything with that pressure that they applied on 2 members of Vici.
Team WE, though, do assume the gold lead. They're about 700 gold up, 27 minutes into this match. They did take the first Baron down. We'll have the time of that second. There will be an Infernal Dragon that spawns in a couple of minutes. EasyHoon does have his Rabadon's Death Cap, so a little bit of extra damage will come out from this Karma now.
Right now, it's a race to, A, clear out vision, but also help establish position around the Dragon Pit.
Yep.
As well as reset all the side lanes and start creating slow pushes against your opponent.
But it seems like the game has swung in Team W's favor. We talked about Vici, team of 1,000 cuts. They were getting those cuts in at the start of this match, all the way from the very get-go. Kept taking poke shots at Team WE, taking structures wherever they could. But Team WE fought back, and now Vici, they're not cutting through anymore.
Issue is that yes, Vici play very well when they're ahead because they know exactly where they need to be on the map at the right time. But where they stall out is their individual execution because their talent isn't that impressive across the board outside Dandy and Easy.
They're looking to try and lock down 957. Dandy goes over the top. It's a very tanky Shen they're trying to lock down. Endless can't even get in there. They used a lot of global ultimates to collapse on top of him. Even the Ghost and the ultimate coming out from Dandy, and Sia's just split pushing on the top side of the map.
And again, it's that execution where they really struggle to find picks from behind. Meanwhile, Team WE, all those resources.
There's an arrow, lands straight on top of Sia, will lock him down for some time, but it's too little too late because Vici will lose their top lane in the turret.
And they're continuing to bleed and hemorrhage around the map. They tried to make a play. Unfortunately, it was minimized and then countered.
And it's good timing for Team WE as well as they pick up a 2,000 gold lead heading into the next Baron, which will be back up in a minute. Dragon be up in a minute 30 as well.
We should start to jockey for position around this river.
From Vici's side of the map, you can see Poppy trying to get as tanky as possible, looking for the Iceborne Gauntlet as the next item. Dandy has completed his Trinity Force, now going as tanky as he possibly can. With the Thunderhawk completed, looking for the Spirit Visage next. Mid lane, Easyhoon has picked up a Rylai's Crystal Scepter for himself, trying to get even more slow from his Q. Whereas Ash now has the last Whisper, so we'll be able to shred through the double tanks that Team WE have coming into this game.
And this is in a very healthy position, very strong for this Ash. She pretty much has her core already built up.
But again, very low damage team composition coming out from Vici, going to be difficult to deal with these tanks.
I think the bigger issue is the fact that there's so many tools on Team WE's composition to get to that backline and to really threaten both Easyhoon and Endless, and Caveman can only save one. The only disengage that you have is really in Long and Tom Kench.
For now, though, Vici just trying to secure as much vision as they possibly can around the Baron Pit. That is back up and online. Infernal Dragon will spawn in 25 seconds. Team WE definitely looking a lot stronger as we approach 30 minutes into the game. Condi has been jumped on by Dandy. Vici looking for a pick. Zero now looking to try and turn this one around. There's the Sten United on top of the Gragas. He flashes in, tries to separate the team. A good save comes out from Caveman, keeping Endless alive. They turn this one around. Long knocks the Alistar out of the fight. Vici still kiting back, trying to make sure Endless is in a good position to get good damage off. And you can see the respect that both these two teams have for each other. They get good engages here and there, good saves from their supports, and they decide it's not worth taking a fight.
Both teams have expended key cooldowns, but also have a lot left in their repertoire. We're now moving towards the Infernal Drake.
Team WE, they're able to get some good vision down, but decide to back off and move straight back towards the mid lane and potentially go towards the Baron Pit. But there goes Vici. They want to start this one up. They want the Infernal Drake. They definitely want to fight here.
They don't have the Ash Arrow.
Weaver's Wall will separate the Infernal Dragon only, and Talia just jumps straight back off of it. Dandy now on top of the Infernal Drake. The smite will actually go to Condi. He gets the steal off. Now Dandy's going into the back lines. He gets exhausted immediately. Misty dealing some good damage on this Ezreal. Zero goes in. Doesn't get a good pulverize down. Caveman has to eat up the puppy to keep him alive. Endless being locked down. He's taken down by Misty. Good pick coming out from Team WE. Caveman's the next target. They're going to get jumped on there. True Shot Barrage as well as the body slam from Condi. Tanks him down. Now it's only Long that's left in this team fight for Vici. WE get another pick and they set their eyes straight back towards the Baron.
You know, we talked about this a bit during the break, that the LPL teams historically have actually been rather poor at playing disengage compositions or anti-dive compositions. Team WE are probably the biggest exception. And champions like Ezreal and Talia, they're the very rare cases where they're actually able to do damage as they kite backwards. And that's really the downfall of Vici here. So Dandy goes in, trying to zone out Shie and Mystic here, and then is just immediately obliterated because Ezreal and Talia are both able to output massive damage as they kite backwards.
You see 957. Yes, he's a huge tank player. We always say that he's a big pillar for his team, but when you want him to make those big clutch plays, he is ready to do just that. We saw his Shen, big flash taunt, straight onto an out of position Endless, and Mystic follows up nicely, communicating with him to pick up the kill.
And that's back-to-back 5v5 advantages and wins for Team WE that snowball into Barons and retain their lead. It's pretty much been Vici gaming for 90% of the game in control, but just these slight instances, the worst timing possible, Team WE get back in.
And look at the time, Frosco, and it's almost 35 minutes into this game. Team WE, that's normally where they start to turn on the heat and start to push for the win. And they've got the Baron buff. We can expect them to be in Vici's base once that 35-minute mark hits, and they're about 5,000 gold ahead as well.
I just want to take Vici and Team WE and put them together, but then I would have EDG, so...
Well, that's the team that they're fighting here today to go up against in a match from 2 days' time. This best of 5 series determines who heads in to the match against EDG.
They're like... Hold on, I'll wait for this analogy. I think they're a bit keen.
No, they're still waiting to move to the bottom lane. You've got some time, Frosco.
No, they're
no
definitely
time?
Keen.
We had time for a while.
No, they're definitely keen.
Now we've got no more time. There goes the seismic shove. Does not connect onto anyone from Vici. Mystic still trying to poke on towards EasyHoon. Does shield himself up and mitigate some of that damage. They're just trying to wave clear.
Oh, Mystic.
Oof. And
just got half health.
And stop some of stop the minions from crashing on towards the bottom lane inhibitor turret. Alistar trying to heal up Mystic wherever he can. Does have life steal available, so as soon as a wave shows itself, we'll be able to stop this one. Weaver's Wall comes out. There's a Tam Kench. Vici looking for a flank. Talia's taken down immediately though. EasyHoon gets the first kill in this fight. Mystic still kept alive and healthy, not being touched by anyone from Vici, dealing a lot of damage in this back line. The rest of Team WE just soaking up damage for him. His arcane shift forward. EasyHoon's the next target. Mystic's going in. He's got another kill for himself. It's only EasyHoon and Lung left alive. And a big flank from Vici, but still a big team fight from Team WE.
And Team WE's damage mitigation as well as their target selection continues to be first class in the LPL. They are such a phenomenal team fighting team.
They certainly are, and it's 2-on-2 at the moment, but it's a Baron up Mystic and Condi up against Lung and EasyHoon. Auto attacks are enough to take down this inhibitor, and the first inhibitor turret of the game falls at 34 minutes into the match, and you can see the absolute absurd amount of damage that Mystic is dealing in this game.
He is an S-tier AD carry. He is a world-class Ezreal player. This guy, I mean, Deft is running around in this league, and he is an incredible Ezreal player, and Mystic, I'm going to put him on the same level as Deft's Ezreal.
And this is Seer doing no damage in a team fight. That Team WE traded 3 for 3.
He got the Weaver's Wall in. That split the team fight, though, which was big.
And picked up the inhibitor as well as the inhibitor turret. So Team WE, if they can get the Talia in the fights, it's going to be even worse.
But here's the problem. I want Vici's map control, and I want Team WE's 5v5 to come together to make EDG. So this is my analogy. You ready? Keep up with me. Do you know Rorschach and Night Owl from Watchmen? They're superheroes?
Yes.
Okay, so effectively, those two characters are Batman. If you take Batman, I'm not even joking. If you take Batman and you split him into two different entities, you have the black and white judgment and justice of Rorschach, as well as kind of that insane factor and the brutality of Batman. Okay. And then you have the intelligence of the great detective of Bruce Wayne and Night Owl. So, Rorschach, Team WE. Night Owl, Vici Gaming.
So you're trying to find a way to put these 10 players together
and then EDG is Batman. There we go. We made it. You're welcome.
If you guys just tuned in, TLDR, EDG Batman.
EDG Batman.
Vici, though, looking very, very out of touch here in the later half of this game because Team WE, we said it during Champions Select, we said it even when Vici were 5,000 gold ahead. 35 minutes is really where you have to start to take a look at where this team is at. And we're past that, Frosco. Elder Dragon's coming up in a minute's time, and they look incredibly strong.
But the thing is Team WE are countered by Team WE. We say this all the time. What does it mean? It means pick late game scaling damage. You know it's going to go to 35, 45 minutes. The Kog'Maw was banned this time around, but you have an inkling that Schwan P is going to come in next game, and it's going to be a Twitch.
Yep, that's always the possibility here. Vici, they looked very strong to start things off, but one botched teamfight pulls Team WE back into this game. They're looking for another fight here. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow will land on towards Condi. Mystic this time around is getting locked down by Long. He's going to take so much damage, but still alive, still kicking, and still shifting away from the team. He gets the first kill to kick things off, throws out the True Shot Barrage to clip away at the team. Now it's Vici on full retreat. A big Pulverize comes out from Zero to keep them in this fight. Mystic is still chasing on forward. Long's the next target. He tries to keep himself up, but Sia picks up that kill, and Team WE kite and protect their AD carry with perfection in that team fight.
They are so good at disengage compositions. Oh, it kills me.
And
Mystic on this Ezreal, having the Shen in tandem with that, able to just absorb all of the pressure from Dandy as he dives into the backline. There is nothing Vici can do. They cannot win fights.
And they show this by taking down the top lane inhibitor and inhibitor turret as well, moving towards the mid lane inhibitor. Once this one falls, it's almost going to be lights out for Vici because they have lost all structures protecting their double Nexus turrets. And Team WE now look to just try and back out. Big ultimate comes out from Condi as well. Just separates the team, knocks Endless back into his base, shoots them off over towards the Super Minutes, tells them to deal with that first.
And, you know, we talked about the development. You can very clearly see the arc from Vici Gaming over the course of their split. They've gotten better at 5v5. It used to be that they couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. Now that they're able to actually turn some fights, but it's just not enough. Team WE, probably the second best team fighting team in the LPL, right behind EDG, and they're just punishing Vici where they're weak, and it wasn't enough to amass a global gold lead in the early game to compensate for their lackluster fighting.
If we saw chaos against controlled chaos against a freight train last match, this is controlled, against calmed, against collected. These two teams, despite the lack of fights going on here, they're well and truly into the lane game, approaching 6 items from everybody. They're just ready for that one final team fight. And Team WE, in Team WE typical fashion, have started off the Elder Dragon.
They're just like water. They're so good at absorbing everything. You throw an arrow in there, you throw a horse in there, it just gets absorbed, it moves around, it flows.
Yep, you put water in the cup,
hey, look.
It becomes the cup, and Team WE become the Elder Dragon as they take that one down and now push towards Vici's base.
With no inhibitors left,
Sorry,
that should be a free Baron.
Not yet. They take the Baron first, and then they go towards Vici's base.
Take all of the power available to you on the map. You might as well use it because you know you're about to go into the final stand. And
they're doing just that. It's going to be 3 members of Team WE pushing for this Baron buff, already at half health. It's not going to be any contest coming up from Vici. 957. Going to take some damage from Easy Hoon, but he is a Shen. He is not that scared just yet. Will be chased away from that bottom lane, but Team W during that time, they pick up the Baron. We should be able to check in with 957 in a bit. There you go, bottom left of your screen. He's able to run away. We'll have the empowered recall to get him back to base. Does have Stand United and teleport to get him into Vici's base, who are dealing with double super minions pushing onto all 3 lanes.
There's one teleport, and here's the rest of Team WE. This is
it. 957. He's up on the top side of the map. He wants to split push still. Mystic using that arcane shift aggressively just to try and get some damage onto Lung. Takes a big cue to the face coming up from Izun. Has to be a little bit careful. There's the arrow. Will land on top of Sia. Both the carries on Team W taking a bit of damage to start things off, but it doesn't matter because 957, what are you doing, buddy? He's in the base. He just wants to finish this game. He doesn't care about the rest of the team. Weaver's Wall just cuts everyone off from the Nexus, but it doesn't matter because Endless, he's going to fall down. The Shen, it's all it takes. He gets a solo kill onto the Ashe. And Vici, they've just been torn apart piece by Team WE and out-executed their strategy to pick up the victory in game number 1.
And with that Weaver's Wall, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me.
And that's pretty much sums up how Team WE played the latter half in that game. And Vici, they're not able to pick up the win here. They looked so strong at the start of this match. They were getting about 20 of those 1,000 cuts they were looking for and started to look like they're going to ramp up. But one swing too many, and the retaliation from Team WE is just too great for them to handle.
Good counterplay from Team WE, and it kind of goes back to this idea that Team WE counters Team WE. You need to look for the hyper carry potential. The Kog'Maw was banned away last time. They need to get their hands on a Twitch, on a Jhin, on a Sivir. Anything that can ramp with Team WE and can outfight them.
Exactly that, Vici. They picked up the Ashe this game, a champion that we do see Endless and Strange MP both use whenever they're playing the match, but it wasn't enough in this game. He just was not able to deal the damage he was needed to later on in the match. But still, Team WE, the way they peel for Mystic is just phenomenal to watch.
It's just incredible, and it goes back to this identity of playing really cool disengage compositions. Again, the thing about Ezreal and Lucian, as well as Kalista, there's really only 380 carries that can do damage as they disengage from a fight. You think about Ashe, you think about Caitlyn, you think about anyone else, as they're running away, that neutralizes all of their damage. Talia's in a very same boat, where as she kites backwards, she can throw her Q forward. So these two champions are really cool at empowering what Team WE are already very good at, which is resetting fights.
You see this final team fight coming out here. Mystic got taken down incredibly low by the front line coming out from Vici. Just kites back, constantly using the Arcane Shift to reposition. keeps healing up thanks to the Blade of the Ruin King, and just obliterates Vici in that final team fight. Vici we can't count them out, even in this best of 5 series, because they still look strong to start off that game.
Oh, they looked great for the beginning of the game. That was Vici in complete control for about 80% of it. It was really only 2 key team fights that rotated into 2 Barons that allowed Team WE to walk all over them.
Well, it was the Elder Dragon team that picks up the Elder Dragon win in game number 1, but they still have another game to play here, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a bit.